Asante, people in the place to be. What's going on? It's me. War is hell, is what they say, and I just got finished watching Platoon, and it pretty much brings that point home in a major way. We're talking about a movie that came out 10 years after the Vietnam War ended officially. We are talking about a war movie. We are talking about a pretty freaking good movie, too. I can see why this was a pretty a seminal movie for people at the particular point in time, and how the cast that was in this became such major stars after this, from top to bottom. This is a long overdue review. This is one of those movies that, everybody in Hollywood is like, oh, it's a great movie and launched all these careers and stuff like that, and I can see why it would have at the time. As always, we're getting into non-spoiler stuff beforehand. It's a Vietnam movie. The cast is incredible. You've got Martin Sheen, Johnny C. I fucking went with the lead in the second spot when it should have been at the end. But you got Forrest Whitaker. You got Keith David. How you doing? Keith David here. Yeah, Keith David is all over this movie right here. Tom Berenger. Willem Dafoe, a young Johnny Depp, Kevin Dillon from Entourage. Who else you got in this movie? You got Tom Berenger, Mark Moses, whose name you don't know but you've seen everywhere. Tony Todd, who the fucking Candyman. You got all these different actors in this shit. Let's see who else we got in here. Who was pretty good in this movie. Not many other names after that, but you got some pretty decent names in this movie, who bring some pretty decent, not just pretty decent, but some incredible performances in this movie. It's a war movie, and war is hell. It's very gory, because war is hell. It's very in your face, because war is hell. It is, and the Vietnam War in particular was very hellish for our country, for the soldiers that fought in the country, for our country, for the Viet Cong, for the world, really. It was a disaster of a war that we never should have gone into, which sounds very familiar and sounds like pretty much all the wars we've ever gone into. But this was one of them, and it was a pretty key element that this came out when it did, is why it got the praise that it did. Watching it back some almost 35 years later now, really, no, not some 35 years later now, it hits a little different than it did then, and I can understand why it would. Now, we're going to get into spoilers. I don't think this review is going to be particularly long, but we're going to get into spoilers anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and take this sip. Before we dip, remind me never to buy Coke Zero again. This is a terrible fucking mixer. Into, spoiler territory. Alright, okay, here we go. Charlie Sheen is a middle class to possibly upper class kid who volunteers to go into the Vietnam War for some cockamamie reason. Wasn't learning nothing in school, so we get some narration from him throughout this movie. The cast is incredible, like I mentioned before. I'm sitting here watching this 35 years later. I'm blown away at the cast that's in this movie. Like, just oh my God, I have fucking Boondock Saints here. There it is. Boondock Saints, Willem Dafoe. Maybe my favorite Willem Dafoe performance, Forrest Whitaker. Crying out loud, he's incredible. All the gravitas he's brought to pretty much every role he's ever played. Keith David. Let me a second get into the Keith David voice. Now let me get into the Keith David voice. Yeah, Keith David voice. The key to the Keith David voice is not even really the bass in your voice. You gotta say everything with a grin. Keith David says everything with a grin. You can't close your mouth all the way on Keith David. He says it with a grin. His voice, the lips don't gotta say a little like that though. Keith David. You gotta usually go back to the grin. You're always saying in the grin. You're talking, but you're always saying in the grin. Keith David. Reach out our house a little bit. That's Keith David. Charlie Sheen is serviceable, I guess. Honestly, Charlie Sheen, the stuff I've seen Charlie Sheen in, I've seen now this movie, Working for a Living, whatever that movie was where he did with Emilio. I saw his performance of Ferris Bueller, Obvi, and I saw his performance in 2.5 Men, even into the dying days of his performance in that dying show. And of all the stuff I've seen him in, I liked him, and Hot Shots. Hot Shots Part 2 was, I as a kid, I liked Hot Shots Part 2. I'd have to go back and rewatch it, but as a kid, I liked Hot Shots Part 2. The best thing I remember him being in was in 2.5 Men when he was on. This movie feels like he was on, but also his character is kind of muted. His character, because he's the star of the movie, but he's not the star of the movie. He's our lens into this platoon of soldiers and their adventures through Vietnam. It's not really about him. It's about everybody else around him. So therefore, his character takes a back seat. So it's hard to kind of judge him as an actor through this because he's not really given much to do except give us narration and a couple of different things. He parties with the guys every once in a while, etc., etc. The real main story is between Willem Dafoe and Tom Berenger. Tom Berenger is this just this war weary soldier, this hardened, not even weary, hardened. There's weary soldiers in here. Ironically enough, they're primarily played by the black dudes. Particularly near the end, 2 black dudes are quote unquote considered cowards near the end because they're trying to get the hell out of there. One tries to run the hell away. He's shattered by everything that he's seen. He's not going out there and killing all the Viet Cong, just all gung-ho, ready to kill everybody. The other one, he survives an air raid and then stabs himself in the leg so that he can go home. Shit, that sounds like sounds like intelligence to me. Sounds like intelligence to your boy. If you were forced to go down there, you had to deal with all that horse shit and the racism and all the other crap. Nah, sounds intelligent to me. There are multiple reasons why I have never and will never join the American Armed Forces. And this movie shows pretty much all of them. Charlie Sheen, the new recruits, the pretty boys that go over there, the new blood that goes over there, they're treated like dirt because of the new blood. Early on, you see the soldiers. You start with Charlie Sheen coming off the plane going into Vietnam, and you can see those that are coming home and their look on their faces as they see the new blood coming in, like, yeah, you ain't gonna make it. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, fresh meat coming in this motherfucker. Ha 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 ha. And I get it. I get all of it. But Tom Berenger, he's gone completely off the wall. He's killing citizens of the Vietnam country. He's going off on the fucking rails. Willem Dafoe sees the shit. He's gonna report the shit, some unauthorized killing shit. And somewhere down the line, they get into a firefight with the Viet Cong. Willem Dafoe sees Tom Berenger. Tom Berenger sees him. They're like, okay, I see each other. You know, we're friendly. Tom Berenger, pop, pop, to Willem Dafoe in the heat of the battle, etc., etc. Charlie Sheen finds out about this. He talks to some of his buddies about possibly doing something about it. Tom Berenger overhears him. He's like, you want to kill me? Go ahead and kill me, motherfucker. You can't kill me. They get into a fight. He cuts Charlie Sheen. Yada, yada, yada. Air raid strikes down on them in this last big climactic battle. But Tom Berenger and Charlie Sheen survive. Tom Berenger is crawling. Charlie Sheen is walking. And he pops Tom Berenger. He tells him to do it, and he does it. Whatever. The big takeaway from this movie is war is bad. War is bad. And, more specifically, the United States is not always the good guy. In fact, the United States is very often the bad guy. I know, that's hard to maybe grasp if you're super soldiery and USA. No, we suck. The United States is full of shit. And the United States has been the cause of regime change wars, regime change imperialistic wars for fucking decades. This should have been a warning, but the American people didn't want to fucking hear it. They just wanted to forget Vietnam. That's how he got Persian Gulf 1. Because he just wanted to forget it. Here's one. Listen, that's the one war that we lost. Oh, the one on the record, the one and 21-1. We hate that one. So we're just gonna go off and talk about the other ones. Don't listen. Listen. If you take away anything politically from this movie, take away that if we're in another country, we probably shouldn't be. Not even probably. We 1,000% shouldn't be there. And this isn't a knock on the United States Armed Forces. I know people that have been, as most people do, I know people who've served in the Armed Forces, etc., etc. It's not about them. I legitimately don't think that most of them understand what they're doing. I don't think most of them understand what they're getting into. I think many of them are in different circumstances that they feel forces them to go and serve in the armed forces. They're not the ones making the commands. They're not the ones saying, let's go to this brown country and bomb everybody. They're the ones that pull the trigger, but they're ordered to. It's the people in charge. It's the people in charge. And it's our perception of the people in charge and of fighting and of going to these regime change imperialistic wars that allows it to continue. There is still enough people that allow it to continue. There's still enough citizens that allow it to continue. There's still enough citizens that support the companies that pay for this type of shit to continue. They are pretty... They're not even really graphic. Like, it's 1986, but they're not even really graphic with it, but you see, like, they are, but some things they aren't. Like, there's a scene where a group of soldiers are raping a young Viet Cong woman after they raid her fucking village. They don't show the actual rape, but they show enough of it so that you know what's going on. And, you know, Charlie Sheen submits himself as the good guy by stopping it. That time. You know, you see, this is just a few minutes after he, you know, shoots rifle shots at a kid with one, mentally disabled kid with one leg who's hopping up and down as he's yelling, dance for me, in the heat of the battle. Because he's, not even the battle, because he's in this situation that warps your thinking, that warps your mind, that changes you as a person, and it makes you better understand. I don't know how many of you kids remember this, depending on how old you are. I'm old enough to remember when Vietnam vets were still all over the place and still very much alive for the most part. Like, there's, you know, they're getting older, right? Vietnam was ended in 75. We're talking 40 years later now. 45? Jesus, really? That's 35. Yeah, 45 years later. So some of them may not be with us anymore, especially having to deal with everything they've dealt with over there. Chemical exposure, chemical dependence when they come back, etc., etc. But I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, and I remember seeing vets on the street. I remember I had an uncle who was, I believe, of the Vietnam. The timing about paces out of the Vietnam War. I know he was a vet. I believe of the Vietnam War. I don't remember I don't know everything that happened to him because he died when I was 11 of alcoholism. Probably because there was some trauma in his life and some shit that he couldn't forget. Like a lot of them that went there then. And continue to go to different wars from then on ad infinitum. So, in terms of this movie, yes, there's a story here, but it's not really the story. The story of Tom Berenger and Willem Dafoe's little feud isn't really the story. The real story is what we, as a country, did to them as a country for that many reasons. For that many reasons. 0 fucking reasons. 0 good fucking reasons. Because there's always money involved. Money is always at the root of this shit. So no good reasons that helped contribute to the benefit of mankind. Ay ay ay, ay ay ay. Yeah, this is going to be a short spoiler version because there's really not much else to say in terms of the actual story. How you feel about that movie when you walk out of it says a lot about not even who you are as a person. It says a lot about where you get your information, what information you believe, and sometimes, yes, who you are as a person, but all of that is malleable. All of that can change. All of that can... And it's funny, looking back at this movie, I'm thinking about Born on the 4th of July, and there was a wave of Vietnam movies that came out in the 80s. And we had a couple this past year, Spike Lee's The Five Whatevers, right? The past couple years, I think there was another one that came out relatively simple to that, or around that time. But we've forgotten all the morals we should have picked up from the Vietnam War. We've forgotten all that, all of it. It's all poof, faded. It's ethereal. It's a fugazi. It's a fugazi. It's a woozy. It's a wazi. It's ethereal. It's never landed. Or at least it did land, and then the people who it landed with got older. Some of them passed. Their kids, us, have ignored it. Or the cycle continues. The cycle continues and continues and continues, and to here we are right now. I'm just glad that 35 years later, we're not in a situation where we have a warmongering president. I'm just glad that we're in a situation where we have a president and a cabinet and Senate that isn't just all geared by money generated by war. I'm glad that we're not off invading another country that has nothing to do with us, that we never should have even looked twice at on a map before. I'm so glad that we're not droning, weddings and celebrations in other brown countries to that we over here keep our little American flags going like this while they over there are looking at us as pure evil incarnate, because really all we're over there for is money. I'm glad, in fact, that right now, as I'm recording this in the White House, there is a man who has not ever, and The Rock means ever, been a warmonger, has never, and The Rock means ever, done something as heinous as supporting wars for absolutely no other reason than to line his pockets and the pockets of his donors, not even his supporters, of his donors. He's killing his supporters, but his donors. I'm so glad that there isn't somebody who for the last 47 years of his life been instrumental in us going to other countries and bombing other people. Oh, wait. Shit. Oh. 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 Out of $15, Platoon... Out of $15, Platoon gets a cool 13. Out of $15, Platoon gets a cool 13. I feel like if I had seen it when it came, or closer to when it came out, it probably would have had a little bit more impact on me. Now, I'm a hardened person politically. I walked in with the state of mind. I walked out with the exact same state of mind. The cinematography was great. The acting overall was great. Again, you've got legends in this movie, including, but not limited to, my boy John C. McGinley, aka Dr. Jesus H. Cox, MD, from Scrub. Where's Turk? Turkleton, Dr. Jesus H. Cox from Scrubs, from Scrubbies. Love me some Scrubs. Love me some Scrubs. And John C. never aged. This movie came out in 1986. Scrubs debuted in 2003? He looks exactly the same. He looks exactly the same. 17 years later, he looked exactly the same. And by the way, still looks the same. 35 years. Is he allowed to age? Like, what? Is he allowed to? Like, I know he's Jesus H. Cox. I know he's one of the greatest character actors of all time. Really, actors of all time. But for God's sake, age. Get a wrinkle. Get a gray hair. For crying out loud. Make your knee creak. Johnny C. When it rains outside, let us know a day before. You fucking witch. Fuck. There's something there. There's something. Somebody check on Johnny C. And when you do it, make sure you have a Bible and a crucifix, because he's not human. He's not human. Anyway, cool 13 out of 15. This is a great movie. Martin Scorsese fucking did this movie. It's a great, although there's another movie that I started watching and cut off halfway in the middle because it fucking sucked. After Hours, I started watching that on HBO Max. That's a Martin Scorsese movie too. It's a dark comedy. That movie sucks. Oh, it's a hidden gem. No, that movie fucking sucks. And I'm not gonna give it a full fucking review. I'll tell you about After Hours right now. That movie fucking sucks because the main character could have ended that movie in the first half. In the first half hour, I'm watching this movie. I'm like, this movie should end right now. This motherfucker should go home. The whole reason this movie is an hour, that movie After Hours is an hour and a half, is because the main character keeps doing stupid shit instead of just going home. His whole point was he was trying to go home. It was a trek to try to get him home. It was a journey to a destination. He could have got to that destination multiple fucking times. I had to cut it off. I don't even know if it was half, maybe it was more than half. But either way, I had to cut the shit off because it was so dumb that just fucking go home. What the fuck? And the comedy wasn't even that good. Fuck that movie. After Hours fucking sucked. So that's the one strike on Marty Scorsese's record that I know of that I've fucking seen. Meanwhile, I've seen The Irishman, I've seen Goodfellas, so, you know, did he do Casino? I think he did Casino. I'm pretty sure he did Casino. I want to say he did Casino, because they got everybody else. Pretty sure he did Casino. Yep, Martin Scorsese, and Casino. Great movies. After Hours, fucking suck. And Platoon, great movie. Just the work, all of it is great. It holds up. Like, it's a good movie. It holds up. To me, the only reason why it's not like one of the perfect movies or even a 14 is because I've seen other movies in this same vein since then. So I know some of the tropes didn't land the same way as they would have in 86 because it was 86 and they were all brand new. I can see why they would have worked. I get that. But for me, it's a 13 out of 15. And that's... You know, and it is a good movie. It's a solid movie. I will not watch it again. It's too goddamn depressing. And I don't need that in my life. I just don't need that in my life. I need you in my life. I need a better mixer. But I need you in my life. Oh, God, I need a better mixer. Party people! You know what to do. You know where to go. Get it. Down there in the comment section. I need you to like... I need you to share. I need you to like. I need you to share. I need you to like. I need you to share. Some of you subscribe, but I need you to like and I need you to share. And I need you to comment down there at how correct I am. Who am I? Your favorite YouTuber, motherfuckers. And you know it. How wrong? Yes, we got a little political here. I don't like to get political anymore here or on the podcast, the How Do We Even Get Here podcast. But we did it here because that's the movie. And we did the movie here now because Netflix has told me this is the last day for me to watch it, so I had to go and watch it. So here we go. Go down in their comment section and call me all sorts of names. I don't give a fuck because it's engagement and engage me. Engage me. Engage me. Banner. Alright, that's enough of that. Like and share. Every Thursday, the How Do We Even Get Here podcast is... I fucking hate Long Beach. It's rolling. The links are down there in the description. But if you don't want to go down there, just remember tinyurl.com/gethere2. Me and my homeboy Trey, we talk a whole bunch of shit. I get drunk, and we have a whole hell of a lot of fun. You like dynamic banter? I know you do. It's the most popular podcast on YouTube. Great. We're the black version. That's the elevator pitch. How Do You Even Get Here podcast. I want that Joe Rogan money. You want to get the hell out of here. I want to finish this drink. So in the meantime, the in-between time, cheers.
I'm a nice guy, I'm a nice place, with a nice smile on my nice face. Turn your back and I'm making sure my night's straight. And when you're out of town, I'll be making sure your wife's straight.